Hey guys, Becky here with Design Bundles, and I'm super excited to bring you part 2 of our filling text with photos tutorial. And of course, what tutorial is complete without a project? So we're using printable iron-on sheets for dark with your Cricut. All right, guys, here we are in Cricut Design Space, and remember that this is part 2 of a 2-part video. Now we have already recorded the first part and shown you guys how to fill this text with your photos. It is really easy, and I really enjoy making these because I get to, admire all my beautiful children and their photos, and I don't know. I just really love any project that is going to have photos. But what I want to show you today is we are actually going to print this on a printable heat transfer iron-on sheet. All right. Now you'll hear people call that, either printable HTV or printable iron-on transfer. From my experience, they are interchangeable. Okay, so I'm not sure. Now, I do know that printable HTV, sometimes people are talking about patterns, which are printed on a much more expensive printer than your desktop printer. But as long as you have an inkjet printer, then you can use this material I'm going to show you and contour cut it with your Cricut. All right, so let's go ahead and take care of that. What I want to show you, I've already flattened this design. And I sized it to 9.25 because I am going to go ahead and apply this to a shirt. So what that means is I want to have it sized correctly, and 9.25 is the largest that I can go for this project and still use it as a print and cut. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Now, this will make a little bit more sense later on when you see how we're going to apply this, but I can actually unflatten my design here and move one of these letters down to the bottom and then come in here and flatten it. There we go. Now we can see the whole thing. Okay. And then I just have to make sure, that I don't go over, what am I trying to say? I still keep it within the dimension. So then when I increase it to 9.25, my width increases too far, so I can size it back down. But it, potentially gives us a little bit more of a work area to work with. So hopefully I'm making sense. So you can do it either way if you're trying to get kind of the most out of your project, out of your printable iron-on sheet. Okay. But if you were only printing a small amount, then I usually suggest to go ahead and try to find other things that you can add to the sheet so that you can do the print and cut all at one time and not waste it. Okay. All right. So hopefully I'm making sense there. So I'm going to click over. I'm going to go to make it. Now I'm not going to mirror this design. All right. I'm just going to leave it regular, and I'm going to print it on a letter size sheet. So I'm going to hit continue. And then I'm going to send to printer. Now, I just have a standard inkjet printer. Really like it a lot, but it's just a regular cheapy printer. There's nothing special about it. But if you start doing this often, and you're not happy with the quality of print on your printer, then you may want to check into a photo printer. So, that's all I'm really going to say about that. But I just want to find my printer here. So it's a DeskJet 3700, and see my add bleed is already selected. So that's good. That is what I want. And then I'm just going to choose print. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my printable iron-on sheet, feed it into my HP printer, and allow it to print. And it will print my photos, and it will also print this black outline around them to use for the registration boxes, so that I can then come back and contour cut this on my Cricut. Okay, so hopefully this is all making sense, but I am going to go over and show you how to do this print and cut, and then how to apply it to your project. Okay, all right, let's go over to the workspace. All right, guys, so this is what I'm working with today. This is my printable sheet that you saw me print out. This is the material that I'm using. Now, this brand has been okay for me. This is for dark materials, which works out well because I am using a dark object here, but they also make one for light materials. But this is my material of choice, the one for dark fabrics, okay? Now, I've used a couple different brands. They all seem to work about the same, but this is the one I've been using recently, and so far so good. Now, I love that it comes with an insertion sheet, and it'll tell you to, die cut with your machine. It'll tell you you can use a heat transfer tape if you want. We're not using that today because I feel like most of you won't have that right off the bat, and that's okay. But then we're gonna press at 350 for 30 seconds with medium pressure. So what that means is that we want to go ahead and do this, contour cut this with our machine. Now I'm using my Explore Air 2, but just remember that it's going to be the same whether you're on a different Cricut machine or not, okay? So we're gonna load our mat. All right, guys, so after you have printed and loaded I go ahead and load the material onto the mat and into the machine, then I'm going to go to Browse All Materials, and I'm going to search for Printable, and here we are, Printable Iron-on for Dark. Okay, now even though we're not using the Cricut brand, these presets have still worked well for me in the past, so I'm going to go ahead and use them today. Now what I'll do, I'll leave the pressure where it belongs, and everything else looks good. So now I will go over to the machine and press go, and we will take over from there. I have taken care of what I need to in the software, so I will go ahead and hit the Cricut button here, and I do have this set to custom. My dial is set to custom because I selected those settings in the Cricut software, okay? All right, so one thing that I do before I do anything else is I'm gonna go ahead and choose one of these inner corners of the M and make sure that I got a good cut on my material. And I did. See how that peels back? So I'm gonna go ahead and unload, and then I'll show you a couple key things. Now remember when I said to turn the bleed on? All right, let me show you what that is. Can you see the extra ink? Here, let's do this. Can you see the extra ink? No, you can't. Okay. Well, hold on. Hold that thought. Let me show you, because I'm going to go ahead and weed this off just like I would with vinyl. All right. So now look around this letter. And can you see the extra ink that is left behind? That is because we used our print bleed. And what that means is that instead of cutting exactly, or rather, instead of having the cut exactly right up against the photos, Cricut Design Space created a print bleed around them that mimicked the borders of our photo. That way, if the print was just a little bit off, you don't get that awkward white border around the edge, okay? So with that in mind, we are now done with our cutting machine. We can go ahead and turn it off and slide it out of the way. And this is what I want to talk to you about today. This is just a felt little zip portfolio, okay? These are really fun to keep in your purse. They have a little loop in here. I got this for, looks like $3. So it was a really great deal, and that's just what I wanted to use for my project today. I'll be honest with you, I already have about 1 million of these shirts. So this is gonna work good for us today. Now I want to get out a little heat pressing mat. And like I said, we are not going to use a heat transfer tape, but you can. But if you delicately find the edge of your heat transfer paper here, now it is a delicate material, all right? So you don't want to get crazy with it, but if you will just peel it up from the backing, for something as simple as MOM, M-O-M, then this is going to transfer over really easy. actually forgot that I've only cut with this machine a few times, so that was a really, really sharp blade, being virtually new. So, you know, just something to watch out for. I got a little bit too deep of a cut, and that means that the paper doesn't like to turn loose of it as easy. But nonetheless, here we are. See how great that turned out? I really like using this with the photos against a dark surface like this. So, but basically a heat transfer paper or heat transfer tape would be able to, you would lay it on top of your transfer like you would pattern heat transfer vinyl, and then you would peel it up and apply it that way, which is really great, and usually it's really easy, but it is not included with your printable iron-on transfers. So I wanted to kind of show you guys the hard way. That way, you know, if you have a pack of this laying around, you'll know that you can just easily pull it up and place it by hand. It's really not that difficult. Now your kit does come with these little sheets right here. So just gonna cover your design. And I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna hit it with my Easy Press at 350 for 30 seconds. Now I am gonna have to press this one twice, so you will see me move over and reset the timer, okay? All right, big reveal, you ready? Ta-da! And now, that is my finished project. So guys, how did you feel about our project today? Now I know that using print and cut with your Cricut can be a little bit intimidating, especially with a printable heat transfer product like this, but I really enjoy it. It really adds a lot of extra wow to these types of projects to be able to see and potentially wear if this was a shirt, right? Now, I love this little, we'll call it a clutch. It really is an oversized clutch. It's a zipper bag. I really love these. They make great gifts just in case, you know, you don't always want to wear it, but you know, it just was really easy to do. I really love how easy it is to work with, and I'm confident that you guys can do it too. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, but I appreciate you guys joining me today. Make sure you do your thing and like, share, and subscribe. I'm going to emphasize the subscribe because that is what helps us to keep bringing you these tutorials and to keep growing the channel to help you guys with your crafting journey, okay? All right, thanks again for stopping by. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.